Okay, I'm back. So I have my boo thing here, Chris, and I'm gonna be talking about the Housewives of Atlanta season 7, part 3 to the reunion. This was a very long one. It was an hour and a half. So I'm gonna jump straight into it. So we picked up with Nene and Peter flirting. And everybody's like, oh, ask Peter about the flirting, whatever. I watched it, and they were talking about that was way back that was like 3 years ago in season 5. Yeah, I'm not. No, I'm lying. That was like 5 years ago in season 3. Nene and Peter did flirt. Sheree said it. And Kim said it, and Lisa Wu, when she was on there, she said it. So I don't know why, and it was harmless flirting, but I don't know why they refused to admit it. Even Kenya pointed out, I'm not saying you want to sleep with him, not saying you want to be with him. I was just saying it was harmless flirting. You look at some kind of way.
Because I actually feel like they even did it last season. Before the whole big breakup and the big fight and the big whole thing went down, they had some little moments even then where they would do it. Like she would always be like, well, Peter's this and Peter's that. And so I just feel until that whole she called him bitch thing, that they were always continually doing a little flirting thing. They really was liking each other. It was the male and female supreme of the show.
I agree. I wish somebody would give Peter a peach, cause he is more capable of going up against the other members of the cast than Cynthia. I mean, Cynthia did good, but I mean, how long she been in the show? It took her this long to do something. So I think Peter been doing it since his first season. Peter been cutting up since season 3 when him and Cynthia first appeared. You notice how when they asked him the questions that Portia had nothing to say. I don't think Portia was intellectually able to match wits and come as quick with Peter as she is with some of the other women. So I think that was probably one smart thing Portia's ever done, and I agree with, is that she shut up when Peter started talking. I agree with her not saying a word. What?
First off, I think Peter deserves a prune because he's on some kind of geriatric thing. Secondly, I think it was horrifically nasty for him to say he'd rather play with himself, because that put all kind of disgusting thoughts in my head, and I was about to have to go throw up. And but I ate too much delicious food. Shout out to Kenny's mom for cooking today on Mother's Day. Who does that?
My mom.
But also, I just think that saying like Portia matches with anybody who's outside of the 3rd grade is an insult to everybody else on this show, because she's not bright whatsoever.
Portia's dumb. I say that Portia's dumb.
D-U-M.
Dumb. I want to talk about the Phaedra Kenya apology. I think Chris agrees when I feel like it wasn't a genuine. I don't feel like Phaedra apologized genuinely. I feel like Phaedra was just like, it's been 3 years and Kenya is still on this, so I'm just about to give her what she wants and get it over with. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that Phaedra tends to always do what she thinks that America expects her to do, and it's all of her Southern Belle image.
Fake.
Yes. Because, the Southern Belles are usually with the girls who ran on the plantations. That's not what we did. That's not us. But okay. But if that's what you want to represent, then go right ahead. But I do agree with you that apology was not fake.
Yeah, no, I don't like Phaedra, so whatever.
Phaedra.
That's what Nene used to call her. Okay, so we get to my favorite ATL housewife, which would be Miss Candy Burris. And they did a segment on her and Todd, who I'm not a particular fan of, and they did the Mama Joyce and their marriage and sex life and stuff. And I would just like to say, before I say anything, Todd rubs me the wrong way, not in the Mama Joyce way. He does not make me feel the way he makes Mama Joyce feels and act. He doesn't. It's just like, I don't see the chemistry, honestly, with him and Candy. I really don't. I feel like, I mean, I'm not in their marriage. I don't know how, what goes on behind closed doors. But to me, TV-wise, it doesn't. The chemistry does not translate. I do agree when Candy said, she wished she wouldn't put some stuff on there. Cause they got some family members in my family who I know everybody in America would get a kick out of them, but I'm like, I'm not about to do that, embarrass myself and my family, because they do not deserve, they do not belong on television. No matter how kooky and ratings worthy they are, I would just not do it. So I do agree with her by saying maybe she should dial some. I know she's an open person, but she should dial some stuff back. Because I think her mom was getting a little too, like, it was entertaining at first, but now her mom was getting a little too out there, and she need to rein her in. That's how I feel about the Candy thing. But I tend to agree with Candy on a lot of things. I feel like she's probably one of the more level-headed housewives. Like, you've got Portia, and then you got Candy. Brain-wise, that's what I think. That's how I feel.
Well, I guess I'm going to always be in a different place. I think that her mistake was bringing her mother on the show in the first place. Because one thing, nobody can control their mother. And actually, I felt like it was funny because Kitty's mom was saying that she felt like she needed to check her mom. But I was like, what would happen? This is what I was thinking. I was like, what would happen if Kenny tried to check you?
Cuss me out.
Yeah, I was like, nobody can check their mom.
I'm your mom.
Exactly. It'd be, it's like what do you say? What do you say to a person with two black eyes? Nothing. You already told them twice. Boop boop. So it's just like, nobody can really go around trying to check their mama. And if you are in a situation where you're trying to check your mama, then it probably means that you weren't raised quite the right way. I mean, that's not like telling her, like, you need to mind your business and stuff. But, I mean, it don't matter how much I tell Gloria what I feel she should do. She's going to always do her own thing and going to explain to me how it's my fault.
Since we're on mothers, they addressed that Todd's mother did pass away, and I was shocked that Greg Leaks, Nene's husband, was at the funeral. Not only was he at the funeral, but he spoke at the funeral. And I always find Greg to be corny, but apparently they say he gave a great speech.
Don't check me, Todd.
He's just corny to me. But they say Nene, she was on Broadway, but she tried to get off. But I actually believe that. I do believe that Nene, had she been able to get off, I actually do believe that Nene would have went to the funeral and supported Candy. And what people don't know, that Candy said in the interview, she was in New York to go to see Nene, but when everything that happened with Todd's mother, they used their trip up there to, clear out her apartment and get her things and stuff. So I even though these two butt heads, they've been on the show together the longest. So I think something like that would have really, I think it's true when they say that, Candy was going to support Nene and Nene was going to support Candy, but due to what happened in life, they couldn't. But Greg's little thing, I don't even know I forgot what he said. Oh, he was like, what did he say? Faults are like headlights. You can only see the other person's. And I thought he was gonna say something corny and Greg like, but I actually agree with him. I agree with him. Except me, I have no real faults, so I don't need to see them. We gonna move on. Wait, why we got?
I just want to make sure that I just want to say that there are several people who are able to identify their own faults, and I do not want to have like that. I mean, I think it was a very little wise saying, and I think it's good for people early in life. But most people, when they get later on in life, they're very good at identifying things that are wrong with them. It's just that they're at that I don't give a fuck phase, and it's just like, look, this is Tammy Roma. This is who the fuck I am. And it's just like, you even go to Maya Angelou. If someone shows you who they are, believe them.
God wish they let Maya rest in peace.
She probably is in pieces right now.
So anyway, we're gonna go to Nene and Peter's wife, Cynthia. First of all, I just want to say, Cynthia want to be Nene's friend so bad. She just, she wants to get back in her life. She wants to be, if she could, she would drop that friendship contract, mail it to Nene. And if Nene signed it, that would just, That was just complete her life. She had divorced her husband and everything because Nene signed the contract. But when they showed the clips and they each told their versions of why the friendship broke down, I think there's some truth in both versions, because Nene did say when the little bitch thing happened and she called Cynthia's husband a bitch, and her and Cynthia were texting each other and were supposed to make up on camera. And so Nene thought it was fine. I can back that up my own self because of footage I've seen. I followed them on Instagram and Facebook and stuff, and they did. Even after she called them that, they spent New Year's together. They went on vacations together. Nene was in a fashion show. Cynthia was in the audience recording and cheering her on. And then when the reunion showed up, Cynthia was on a separate, like that was Cynthia's first time, and it shocked me, first time on a reunion show not sitting next to Nene. Every reunion since Cynthia has joined the show, she's always been right next to Nene. So I believed some of Nene's, and I believe some of Cynthia's, because when Nene said Cynthia requested she not sit next to Nene at the show, Cynthia was like, I never requested that. I didn't even know, I had that power. And as Andy quickly pointed out, what did he say?
He said, you don't.
Exactly. So I believe Cynthia on that front, and Cynthia got into, I agree with Candy, it was a long ass story. She got into a long drawn out, but I feel like the reason she drew it out is because she was telling her truth and she had to get all the facts out. That's how I am. I have to tell the whole story when I know I'm right, and when I know I have to get my whole point. I have to get my whole point out.
Thank you.
If
go ahead, get your point out.
When I know I'm right, and I have to get my point out, I have to tell the story. So it was a long ass story, but I feel like Cynthia told it because she was like, "I'm gonna tell y'all what the fuck is really going on." Due to Nene's wall, even when Cynthia because Cynthia was trying so hard to get back up in there, Nene was just like, whatever, that's how she feels. And Cynthia was like, I would like to be cordial with her and say, if we see each other in public, hey, say hello. And Andy asked Nene what would she do. She saw Cynthia and Nene be like, I'm not gonna be like, hey, what you do? And I agree. If I had some issue with somebody, we agree we're gonna be okay. Even if I see you in public, I'm about to go run up to you and wrap my arms around you and be like, what, girl, what's been up? If you don't see me, I might not even speak. If you look up and wave, I might be like, hello, and keep it moving, but we're not about to be best friends, What?
I agree. I just think that Cynthia needs to do this.
What is that?
Get that brown shit off her nose.
Oh my goodness.
Having her face so far up Nene's ass. That's why I've been rubbing my nose, trying to help her get some of this shit off her nose, because she's just been all up in Nene's ass. I also want to go on and say that it does sound like production played their ass a little bit. Like that's probably been one of Nene's biggest complaints, but they just set it up, and they probably did tell Nene that, hey, she said she didn't want to sit next to you, and they rearranged the seating chart just to make it where they have to pop off. But it was just like at that point in time, Cynthia wasn't really one to be out there popping like popcorn. In fact, she was just like a sad little stream. And I do think
with a bad wig
that Peter at the door. I do think that Peter was the reason that she has hung around so much, and just the fact that she has some other little connections and stuff. But can I go on one more thing on that argument that really tickled me? Because this was something that just sat with me so raw. Because Cynthia says that, Nene, I would never take food off your table. And so what I want to go on record, Cynthia, listen to me. I know, look right here. If the housewives check is the only thing that you have putting food on your table, y'all got problems, and you need to sit down with your man. And actually, no, don't sit down with him. Go to the bank and tell them, stop letting Peter sign for shit without you being there, because every time you end up with another foreclosed business.
Bar none.
And in that order, B-I-C.
So I think I agree with you on that one. If the housewives is the only thing that's sustaining you, then clearly you have made a big mistake in marrying the man you married. Because her first season, she was talking about she made a lot of money. She don't need a man to take care of her. She doesn't, have to marry somebody rich because she's good. And that was season 3. It is now season 7. If it only took him 4 years to blow through all your money and the housewives is what's sustaining you, then you don't need to be checking Nene. You need to be checking your husband. You can take a Nene. I think even though the housewives is a big part of her money, the housewives check is a big part. You can take Nene, Phaedra, and Candy off this show, and they'll be. I personally think they won't have any problem with bills. Mm-hmm. Call me crazy, but Kenya either, because before Kenya joined the show, Kenya owned a house in LA, and we all know the cost of living out there is expensive. So clearly, she's done well enough to where she owns a home out there, so she wouldn't necessarily be homeless without this check.
And she produced it, and
she obviously she got the money to be producing pilots by herself. So, and that was like $20,000 or something right there. So, Portia, I don't really know, because we all know she even said herself in a divorce she got nothing except what her car that she came with. She got that.
She walked in that thing like Tina Turner. All I want is my name.
Yes, and she didn't keep her name. She back to Portia Williams. So she got to keep her debt. They looked at that. Cordell let her keep her credit card debt and stuff. So she got something out of the divorce. Her debt that she brought into it. Yes. And her car. So I don't know if Portia will be able to sustain her lifestyle unless there really is an African prince or man or whatever that Nene and who else? I think Claudia insinuated that she had. Well, Claudia came out the state.
Just about everybody on the show has at some point in time alluded to her being with an African prince. In fact, I even recall her doing it at some point in time.
I think so.
I
think so. Just because she kept saying it's long distance or he doesn't live in Atlanta, and she would smirk. So I was like, I think it's true. But what do I know?
I don't think he's a prince, though. I think he's just some hoodlum from Africa who has some money, probably from blood diamonds or selling other people into slavery and stuff like that. But I digress.
The bottom line is Portia's dumb. Claudia actually I think would be okay without this show because she's been doing Ricky Smiley's show before she joined Housewives. So actually, Cynthia, you might be the only one that might have trouble without the Housewives check. You might be the only one. Before we move off, I will say though, one thing that Nene did admit that I saw my own eyes when she was on Watch What Happens Live, she did insinuate that if anybody had to be fired, it should be Cynthia. I mean, if she would just admit that, where would Cynthia be able to go? I mean, I feel like a lot of housewives, they lose arguments when they can't admit something. Just be like, when they be like, you said that I should be fired, they be like, yes, and I mean, I said it. What else can you say after that?
That's what she should have said. I said what I said.
She should say something, but instead of her trying to deny it, I think that's what eggs the arguments on. Because I would tell him, yeah, I try to get you fired. Or I wouldn't say try to get you fired. I'd be like, you brought nothing. Show me what you bring, and then tell me I was wrong.
But that changes with the win with her, because it's just like whoever she don't like, and that's who should be fired. Because like you said, now she said all the single girls should be fired now.
But at first, after the last one, she hated Kenya. But when Andy said, do you think the show be better without Kenya? And Nene said, no, we need that cuckoo. So at least she's business and ratings wise, she knows Kenya's doing what they brought her on to do. She's basically a mini Nene. That's what I think. Maybe she thinks because, I feel like Kenya in reality TV world and everything in ratings is more powerful than Cynthia. So I can see why she wouldn't feel the same way about Cynthia as she felt about Kenya. So I can understand that. But anyway, off that hoe. Oh, God, we got to discuss Princess of Dum Dum. Before I say this, I just like to say Portia's dumb. Now all season they was calling Portia the Princess of Thoughtland and a thought, and I missed the scene where she described what a thought was. So I was thinking this whole season she didn't know what a thought was. But when they showed the flashback of her explaining to Nene that hoe over there, I was like, so you know what it means, and yet you are still claiming it. So basically you're calling yourself a hoe. So if somebody else says it, you cannot get mad, you cannot get upset, you cannot be like, she calling me out my name, because they just put up that clip where you be like, that hoe over there. But then you claiming when Phaedra and Nene call you Princess of Thailand, you claiming. I don't understand how she can sit there and get mad at Kenya or Candy or Cynthia or Claudia about saying stuff when the biggest shade comes from her friends.
From herself.
Phaedra and Nene. And then she agrees with it. I'm like, bitch, that's where your biggest shade come from. And you are just like, I can't believe Cynthia said I got an African prince. When they showed Nene multiple times alluding to the fact that you sleep with an African man. I'm just saying. Nene has alluded to you not paying for what you have, like other, men or suppliers, but you don't get mad. So that's why I think it's not due to shade. I think it's just due that I personally said this season 5. I think Portia was a fan of Kenya's. Portia wanted to be friends with Kenya, which is why, if you remember from anybody who's been watching since season 5, when you remember in Kenya and Portia first met, Portia was like, "Are you married? Do you have kids? What do you do for fun? Socialize." Like Portia was asking, "I want to be friend" questions. When Kenya realized I can't get with this up here with Portia, that's when Kenya was like, and Portia just got heated. So I think deep down she wanted to be friends with Kenya, and because Kenya basically rejected her, that's when she turned on him. Because Kenya was like, you gotta have a certain level of intelligence, because I might say a word, and I don't need you to be like, hold on, let me look it up. I need you to be able to come back with a sentence to continue the conversation, not, Like, I feel like Portia is one of those type of people. Like, you say something, if she don't know the word, she makes a joke or she flings her hair.
So, I think that's what's going on. First of all, I agree with you totally. And I just think that the real issue is that Portia is one of these women who feels like she needs to earn her coins. And I appreciate that a woman feels she needs to earn her coins. But if it comes down to you needing to be an African princess or the Queen of Thoughtland, what's the next topic? I don't know what else to tell.
Before we move, I would like to say a point they did bring up is when, Portia came on, she was like, I would never be in a strip club, and I have to ask permission from my husband to walk out the house wearing certain things. And she was saying on the show, she was like, I'm his little princess. He dresses me and he tells me how to wear my hair and stuff.
I do the same thing with Kenny.
Child, let me just pray. You can just... He does not dress me. I have to address that. I was going to move on, but I have to address. He does not dress me. This is not Corday and Portia. First of all, I'm smart. I know I'm an intelligent person. Thank you very much. I know how many days are in a year, and I know what the Underground Railroad was, and I know the difference between a specter and a scepter. Also, I know what a thought is, so I don't claim to be one, unlike her. I just had to separate that. Also, Portia's dumb. And I don't agree. She said that she felt like in her marriage she had to change and fit whatever image her husband wanted her to be. Well, how do you know that he really loves you if you're not being yourself? So you're saying that he loved the image, or he loved the fake model or whatever? Like, I don't know how he fell in love with you if you were not being yourself, if you were just being what he wanted you to be. I don't know. I just don't agree when people say that. Like, I'm gonna act and do all this because this is what gets my husband. Okay, well, he don't even know the real you. But whatever. It's Portia, so I can see it. But anyway, next, we spent too much time on that hoe. Mm-hmm. Next is the Puerto Rico, or as Andy called it, Puerto Rico. Of course, they go straight into the Nene versus Claudia read-off. Mm-hmm. My mother thinks Nene won. I think Claudia won, and then there are some people out there who thinks it was a draw. So I feel like everybody has valid reasons why they think each person won. Now the low down dirty hoes, they think Nene won because she went from pussy to your clit has left your body. When you make the coins, they can sort of, you can buy off the runway and stuff. But I always say the person who wins is the one who is still coming with the reads, but they are so calm, they are so unbothered, they don't give a damn what's coming out your mouth because it's not a fake, it's bouncing off. You know what I'm saying? The reason I feel like Nene lost is because Nene showed up. I really do. Because when Portia was like, here comes Nene, when Nene go from, girl, bye, I see Kenya's got her puppies talking, to When you make them out, when you got the coins to make them out the front way, you okay? Everybody had your pussy. Hollywood ain't checking for you. Your clitoris left your body. Like I feel like that's because at that point Claudia had hit something, and Nene just flew off the handle, and she blacked out. Was just saying whatever came to her mind. I understand when you read, Nene says when you're reading or shading somebody, it's a battle of the words. But I feel like your disposition and your attitude is how to determine the true winner. Because at the end of the night, Claudia was able to walk it off like, and Nene was pissed. So it's kind of like you may have said some things to Claudia, but you the one mad. So yeah. Also, I don't agree with Nene, the half-breed comment. I think Nene's racist? I actually don't. Do I think she said it to be hateful? No. I think she was saying it because, okay, we reading each other, we battling. I've never seen an army go against an army and be like, well, don't hit that one. He's innocent, or don't stab that one. He just standing there watching, or So yeah, when you in battle, it's like whoever gets taken out first wins. So no, I don't think she's prejudiced, racist, whatever. And I do, I accept her apology because I have a little bit of Indian in me, so she's talking about me too.
Okay. So here's my thing. I feel that Claudia won, but I do feel like, oddly enough, Nene walked into that battle at a disadvantage. The reason why I feel like Claudia won is because she was stating shit that was true. Nene don't have no fucking edges. We don't know where the fuck they went to. Them bitches checked out way back when. Around that time when Sheree was saying that she was eating her teeth in the back of her mouth. Them edges been gone. And all, so the stuff that she was saying, we could fact check it. The stuff that Nene is saying, I haven't heard anybody pop up and say that Claudia was a slut whore like that and out there. And the last time we checked, she had her clit, her toes just bumped up. But Nene didn't even know that.
People say I was a hoe, but I'm not anymore.
Whole professionals back in the day. That's a whole different lifestyle. We saved, sanctified, and filled with the marriage Holy Ghost.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Praise Him.
But I'm just saying that back with all that, she couldn't actually state anything because she didn't really know Claudia. And she said, like she said, I know of her, but they don't even mean that she really know of her, because as we know,
she just know her name.
They will snap
snap
a bitch up and throw them in a scene in a minute. Like
this gonna be your friend today.
And that's how they roll.
And that's mostly what Puerto Rico was all about. That's the only thing I actually really remember from Puerto Rico. So that lets you know how that trip went. Second trip, the Philippines. The Real Housewives of Atlanta. This is the second season in a row they've taken 2 trips because they're so successful, and because the most ratings comes from when the main cast is all together. I think that's why they've been on more trips. Usually it's 1 trip per season. That's it. With that bigger budget comes bigger trips, more trips, all that. The second trip was in the Philippines. This trip Nene did not go on, 1, because she was going to Broadway. Kudos to her for that. And 2, because of the long flight, Nene has blood clots, so she didn't want to risk it. So okay, I understand that. Cynthia was pointing out that the cancer, Nene, was not there, so that's why I got along. I think that's part of the reason. I think Nene herself wouldn't have brought the mood down. I think Nene's presence causes division because Phaedra and Portia would automatically run to her side, and that would make the 2 of them less open to hearing what the other girls have to say. Because I don't think Kenya would have gotten that fake apology from Phaedra, or even gotten a sit down from Phaedra if Nene was there. I really don't, because she would have known to Nene that would look weak, or that would look like disloyalty. And Nene's not the type where, we're not friends, but you could be friends with both of us. She's not that type. You're either on her side or you're on their side. So I think that's why they were able to get along. Also, I do believe, back to part 1 when Claudia saying the club, Phaedra, Portia was drunk and was like, I'm glad you didn't mention this other guy. I believe it. I feel like Claudia has no reason to lie right there. I mean, she has no reason to lie. And Claudia said, I'm not the only one you told. I think the other person was Demetria, but we all see what she had on this reunion. Non-fucking fact, though.
At Roger Bob's.
Everybody at Roger Bob. Everybody slept with Roger Bob. I slept with Roger Bob. I'm just saying.
Roger Bob, and all I got was his lousy t-shirt.
I'm just saying. Everybody named Mama slept with Roger Bob. Andy probably slept with Roger Bob. I don't know. But that's how I feel about the Philippines. It wasn't too, well, actually there was really no drama. So I guess they, did what they accomplished, which was trying to get along, even if it was just for that trip. After that, they decided to discuss the counseling session. Now, this is where probably the bulk of the episode for part 3 of the reunion came from, was this counseling session. They brought out Dr. What is his name? Do you remember his name?
Doctor.
Jeff. They brought out Dr. Jeff.
Yes.
And they rehashed the counseling session where they were, telling their feelings, and Nene felt like it was a bash Nene session. And so she walked out of the counseling session and was like, the doctor's a fraud. Only because he wasn't on Nene's side. When he on Nene's side, he's a great doctor, apparently. When he's not on Nene's side, he needs to be worried about his fucking license. I feel like all the women were saying things that were true. And Nene, being Nene, blew it up and was like, oh, so it's all my fault and blah, blah, blah. So she walked out and he was following her. Yes. I don't think he should have followed her ass. And I agree with Candy when the ladies made that video to Nene talking about we wish she would have stayed, blah, blah, and she was like, y'all lame. I agree. They was so lame for that. I wouldn't have made that bitch nut. Not a care package, not a thank you, not a nothing. What? I would have made that whole... Anyway.
You said, what you say? Give Mariah her turn? Paid her dust.
Paid her dust. Thank you. I would have paid her dust. That's probably sent that hoe. How did you feel about the counseling session portion?
Well,
the counseling session itself, before we get into the discussion.
So the actual counseling session, I felt like Candy was all right. Like, that's the one person who I really agreed with. I felt like Portia showed how she is really a Bravo personality, not meaning the show, but like there's alphas and there's Bravos. Candy is an alpha. She can stand on her own. She's a special type of alpha because she's like a standalone. She can be a lone wolf and go do anything. Nene's an alpha, but she has a lot of Bravos that try to run behind her. Kenya is an alpha, and the rest of the girls on the show are really Bravos. And I'm just glad that it's a show that we don't really see any Charlie type personalities, because now that's the New York girls, because when a bitch throw a brunch, they just go to both of them. They don't choose sides. They're like, fuck it.
Where are we gonna go?
Bitch,
we'll just go to both.
Go to both.
We don't want to make it.
We'll just be late to hers. Bitch, we're gonna go eat some eggs here. Bitch, we're gonna eat some more eggs and drink some mimosas. Bitch, as long as they have mimosas, we're showing up. But I'm just saying, it's because of those different personality types that we run into the show in the angles that we tend to. And so I believe that Candy happens to be, I agree with her most of the times in the decision that she made. And so that whole little counseling session was slightly bullshit, because of the fact that the other girls who were there, for the most part, were all having their little cameo side confessionals saying shit that was counterproductive. So, I don't know.
I agree. The actual discussion about it, they brought out Dr. Jeff and set him ironically right next to Nene Leakes, and she was not feeling that nigga at first. She was just like, he spoke to our ladies, they were like, hi, Dr. Jeff. He spoke to Nene, she's, hi, and looked the other way, like, I ain't here for this bitch at all. So when they started, getting into the talking session or whatever, they brought up Nene brought up how she felt like he started off wrong, and I can't believe he started off attacking me, and then Portia agreed and all this. Okay, Portia brought it on herself. When Portia said, yeah, Cynthia went on Nene, and then Kenya, and then Claudia, then Candy. I agree with Candy. Candy jumped in and Portia's like, I'm not finished with my thought. Candy's like, but you brought up my name. I feel like if two people having an argument or disagreement, I'm not saying nothing because I'm not in it. But when you bring up my name, this time receiving it, that is an invitation for me to open up the door and step in the argument and be like, okay, well, my name has been brought up, so I have a full invitation to walk up in here and say something. So, Candy was saying, I don't remember how this, I don't remember it the way any of y'all remember it. This is the way I remember it. And exactly what Candy said is exactly what the footage Bravo
she
played
remembered
back.
The right way.
Candy remembered everything word for word, and Bravo backed her up because that's what happened. They had the footage. I have yet to see a time from season 2 when Candy first joined to now when she has said something and Bravo has not had the footage to back her up. Like, okay, this bitch telling the truth because this is here's the tape right here. You know, some of the housewives may lie. So Bravo like, we can't show that because you ain't say that. But Candy, she could say something and they could play it right back. And she's like, oh, that's what I said. You know. So, when Candy said what she said, Nene starts looking away and looking at the doctor. And so Candy and Portia were going back and forth. Portia didn't have a leg to stand on because Candy kept shutting her down. And then he gets emotional and she starts crying. And it's not funny, but that damn Cynthia, when Nene started crying, that damn Cynthia almost broke her fucking ankle, tripped over Andy feet trying to get to Nene. You had the doctor, Phaedra, and Portia closer to Nene than Cynthia, and somehow Cynthia made it to Nene before they did, and was helped them escort that bitch out the room. She looked like the best friend that wanted to be in the clique but wasn't, because the four of them walking side by side and Cynthia behind them walking. Before that happened though, when they got up, and I'll give it to Claudia and Candy for keep it real. Yeah, this bitch is emotional. Yes, this bitch is crying, but this bitch just threw out about Candy's dead brother. She just threw out about
not even a topic that was actually brought up for real, exactly. As she was saying, but it wasn't. Brother since unless it wasn't on the show.
She talked about Kenya's mother, which is a double standard. Like, Portia just made fun of Kenya's mother maybe an hour before that about her not having a mother, so she doesn't have love in her. Yet Nene is allowed to get emotional when someone brings up her mother and father situation. Yet when Kenya brings it up, it's a chuckle from the other, you know. So I agree with Kenya on about that. And I even feel like Kenya was being genuine when she got up to hug Nene and support her. That's just her personality. She was being genuine, but she still, you know, they did all kind of shit to the lady, but she still got up and comforted Nene. But I also give it up to Candy and Claudia, because when they got up and everybody was hugging Nene, and Claudia and Candy was just sitting there like,
why are we here?
And Kenya reached back, was like, Candy, come on. And Candy was like, for what? You know, she went on, got up, but she still ain't comfort Nene. Candy started playing with Kenya hair.
She said, I don't
Claudia
know
ain't touched nobody. Claudia stood up and just looked.
We are doing this.
And people might say she fake for that, or she mean or cold-hearted. Well, they would have called me cold-hearted too, because I would have had the exact same reaction. If me and this bitch was just arguing an hour ago and she gets emotional, I'm just not the type, well, you okay? What's going on? No, bitch. If you throw it out at me, be ready to throw it back. Be ready to catch it back when I throw it back at you. So she walks out and she has a moment. And for people that don't know, Nene's mother had 5 kids. She couldn't raise all 5. And the tea from the blog stuff is Nene's mama was out there getting it. And she sent Nene and her brother to Athens to be raised by Nene's aunt. And she kept the other 3 and raised them. So Nene has a bit of resentment, wondering why she had to be the one to be, you know, why she had to be one of the ones to be sent away. Plus, she found out her father is not even, the man she thought was her father is not her father. And the man whose test came out positive, he doesn't even claim her or anything. So she basically feels like she didn't have a mother or a father. So, and that's all fine and dandy. And I would feel for her if it wasn't for the fact that she made fun of Kenya not having a mother. You know, I can't feel for you when you're making fun of somebody else for going through the exact same thing you're going through. You're going through probably even worse. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I couldn't get jiggy with the let's feel bad for Nene train. I couldn't get jiggy with that at all. So anyway, you know, Nene ends up coming back, sitting down, and they all have genuine words. Now, I don't feel like anybody was being fake on this. When they say, Nene, we don't hate you, we're not trying to compete with you. Even Kenya, when Kenya said, I didn't come in saying this is my show, or I'm about to take this over. Anybody who watched season 5, Kenya was in Nene's ass, probably further than Cynthia. Except Kenya had her own opinions and thoughts, and she wasn't afraid to voice them, which is why I think Nene respected Kenya. Like, when Kenya would say something, if Cynthia would say something, when Kenya, Nene, and Cynthia would hang out, Cynthia would say something, and Nene would just kind of be like, Kenya would say something, Nene would actually listen, think about it, and depending on whether she agreed or not, go along with it. She would. Even when Kenya and Phaedra first got into it, you know, Nene was not feeling Phaedra. Kenya used to read Phaedra, and Nene would sit there and die laughing. So she can't say, you know, that they didn't really start off with a good friendship, or that Kenya came for her, because she always says everybody who they bring on tries to come for me. Kenya actually tried to come for her, meaning let me strike up a friendship with this lady. And if she was smart, she would. They could rule the show. I mean, but you know, Nene's too bullheaded to share, so she has to fight and she has to make her way to the top and shows that she's the queen. Although the queen, this reunion, the queen was taken down a few times by Kenya and Gandhi. I just have to say. At the end, well, you can say what you gotta say first before I skip to the end and wrap it up.
Okay, well, my whole thing is just right here. This is the only thing that I have to say on this. If I was Candy, I probably would not have gotten up because I would have really felt kind of salty because everybody knows that her brother is a very sensitive spot for her. And when Nene tapped on that thing to try to avoid going into what was going on with her, I'd have just been like, fuck that bitch, and she could see me at the door when we done. Like, cause that right there, that was to me just foul. And I think she was trying to pull Candy out of her character so that she didn't have to go through and touch on her emotion. I think that's what she typically does. When it comes time for Nene to truly express real emotion, she turns it to anger and try to lash out against somebody else and never just allows it to be really felt. And so I think it was a good thing for her to actually have to seriously feel and express how she felt. However, I do think that everybody, like all of a sudden the show's spinning and turning and going totally toward that direction was a little bit crazy and off for me. And I think that the doctor went from, he was like, well, I'm here for you. And he adjusted the whole vibe to just being there for her. So he just need to tell the truth. When I was first there, you invited me there to help the women. You think I was there to help you go in on the women, but the thing is that the women identified you as being the issue, and now that came out, you was like, well, I gotta go. And then now we get here and you're angry with me. And so what he does is he did like the rest of those people there and kind of kissed her ass.
Like Candy say, this is why she thinks she can get away with this because they kiss her ass. So I was a little over it. I was over Nene crying. Call me heartless, whatever. I think when Nene actually did acknowledge though, this is a journey we're all on together. They are. Nene, yes, I understand Nene leaks and her sayings help because people, there was the Housewives of Orange County first, then New York. They were successful in terms of what an unknown network like Bravo was, because Bravo used to play documentaries and like movies. That's it. So when they started doing like the Housewives, they got a little bit of success, but not nothing big, because it was nothing, a bunch of white women, let's be honest. They put the Housewives of Atlanta on there and led by Nene Leakes, and that show blew up, the cast blew up, the franchise blew up to the fact where now there's like 6 or 7 stateside housewives. Then there are like 4 or 5 like in other countries of Real Housewives. So yeah, she helped lead the Bravo network to where it is now, but she's right to acknowledge all of them on their journey, because first of all, Candy has been a memorable housewife. Kenya, this is only her 3rd year, and Kenya has been more memorable on this show, in my opinion, than some of the housewives from past that have been on not just this show but other shows. Only in her 3rd, actually her 1st season, Kenya had quotes everywhere. Team Twirl, Gone with the Wind, Fabulous, all that. Don't come for me unless I sit for you. Like, that was her 1st season, and she was leaving her mark. And that was Cynthia's.
She wouldn't be ready for me.
That was Cynthia's 3rd season, and at that point, I was like, Cynthia ain't did shit. So I mean, I'm just like, I feel like Nene was right to acknowledge it's not just her. That if she left the show, there would still be women to get the kind of ratings Atlanta get. I think the show as a whole is the reason why Atlanta gets the ratings. Nene just happens to be a very big standout character on that part.
I think it's just the time frame that she's been on there, because you are right. Like when you think Atlanta Housewives, like probably like for me the top 5, and of course you got Nene, you have Candy, and you have Kenya, and Sheree and Kim. Those are the people who I think of, like off top.
And coincidentally, so far they have been the longest serving. Like, you've got Nene's been there for 7 seasons, Candy for 6, Sheree was there for 4, Kim was for 5. So the longest, I think, because those happen to be the housewives that have been on the longest, they tend to, of course, people think of them because those are the ones you saw the most throughout the franchise. I mean, Phaedra's gotten some fame, but she's not on a Candy or Nene level, let's be honest. And I gotta give it to Kenya. Like I say, her first season, she came in and was like, I can't be a supporting character. I'm sorry, I can't do it. I can't be one of those housewives who can't decide what brunch to go to. I need to stand on my own and say, hey, this may be my first season, but I'm gonna come in here and be like, oh, well, this bitch must have been on here since the very first episode for any like unknown viewer. So that's our take on the reunion. Before we go, I would just like to say, starting next week, Miss Candy Burris has her third spin-off of Bravo, featuring that crazy ass Mama Joyce and her sisters, the Old Lady Gang, OLG. So you know that's about to kill in the ratings. I will say though, hopefully from previews, hopefully after this, they kind of cut the cameras off of Mama Joyce. They can keep on her sisters because they funny without being like, oh my goodness. You know, but or if they film Mama Joyce,
they deserve a show.
I think so, but if they give one to Mama Joyce, film her like they filmed her when she first came on, like very sparingly, where she would say funny stuff, but you didn't get the mean Mama Joyce. You know what I'm saying? That you would get the funny, like, oh, this lady crazy, she keep it real. But once they started giving her more and more camera time, I was like, this lady is just crazy. So that's coming up. So I'll definitely be watching. I'll definitely be reviewing. It's only 3 episodes. I think 3 or 4. So I'll be yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, but I'll be watching and I'll be letting you guys know. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. You'll see my sweetie again soon, hopefully. Not all the time though,
I'm not Tyler Perry.
This is not his show. What that mean?
Because people think I look like Tyler Perry sometimes.
That's Jazz and Drika.
And what's that man, the gospel single?
Donnie McClurkin.
Donnie McClurkin.
Let me get off here. Okay. So I will see you guys later. And until next time.